I want you to welcome to the show Walter Hoye. Thank you for being with me. How are you, brother?
CL, I'm doing just fine, and know that I love you.
Thank you so much for that, my friend. Love you back and all the work that you're doing. It is absolutely fantastic. You know, man, I found out here, my producer was doing some research on you, and S.M. Lockridge, I understand, is your father in the ministry. And he was a contemporary of my pastor, the Reverend Dr. E. Edward Jones of the Galilee Baptist Church, former president of the National Baptist Convention of America. And I know he was a great preacher. I've heard him preach many, many times. I've been to Calvary. Shadrach, Meshach, Lockridge is who he was. And he was fantastic, folks. And if you're his son, hey, man, I just know that you was raised right. There's no question about it.
Man, I am so happy to hear that he is my father in the gospel, and I have met him all the way, probably been greater in my life. Shadrach, Meshach, Lockridge.
Absolutely right. And that is why I think, Walter, you and I find ourselves here at this intersection that we're meeting now to discuss this issue, because I do know from both of our fathers in the ministry, their perspective, what is going on now, particularly in the black community, is something that was absolutely abominable to them. Please give us your perspective, and we're going to give you a chance to tell us about your organizations and everything that you're involved in here in this time that we'll spend together. Nearly an hour is what we will spend together. But I want you to give us the perspective here. I saw on your website that more black babies are aborted in New York City than are born. Walter, tell me it ain't so, or tell me what's happening to make it so.
It is unbelievable, but abortion is like number one killer of black life. If I just look at some of the data, the most data, black abortion in the black kills 185 more than all of the 13 lead causes of death. And I could almost drop the microphone right. I mean, alone, we're talking about black abortion is almost time the lives lost and the lives of heart, cancer, stroke. It's number one cause death. And there is absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be talking about this from the pulpit in the black church today.
Why is it that black men, now for full disclosure, for all of you throughout the nation and wherever you may be listening to this show throughout the world, Walter and I both are black men. We respect ourselves enough to speak, to talk the language of business. Let's just say that. And we speak it well. And we encourage other young men, young people to do the same, to be articulate with what you have. If you're around your family, do what you want. But when you're out in public, talk like you got some sense. And so I know that my English teachers are all over me right now who are listening to the show because I just went off the reservation. But Walter, why is it that black men are shy when it comes to this conversation, in your opinion?
Well, really, they're number one that black men are opposed. Take a look at the data and take a look at the individual men. Black men are also post-abortive. They're experiencing the loss of their sons, of their daughter's womb. And because there's no help in the church, there's nowhere they can go and talk about it. They're just holding on, breathe this rat. They're holding on to this wound, and there's no healing on the horizon. We've got to get to a point where we're going to have to say, hey, wait a minute, this is real. And we're going to have to start dealing. Until we do, I'm afraid to tell you that things aren't going to get any better.
And they won't. And they won't. Walter, you have said something here that does open the door for our conversation, because when I look at a posting that you have there on your website, and let me add quickly that he is the founder president of Issues for Life. And let me tell you something. There is something there quoted by the Apostle Paul to Timothy, and it reads, "But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those who are of the household of faith, he is worse than an infidel." The individual responsibility of providing for your own, is that too much to ask from a healthy man in today's America? Or have we gotten to a point where we have become codependent, Walter? And if so, why so? If not, why not? Talk to us.
We have gotten to that matter. No, not to add that a man provides for his wife's family. And let me go a little step further. Not only provide for, but to protect his wife and his family. And that should be the number one goal for every husband and every young man who's contemplating marriage. He ought to put himself in a position where he can provide and protect for his wife and his family coming down the line. Unfortunately, in the world we live in today, that's not really being taught. Where can you go and find out exactly what am I supposed biblically, with biblical tenets? What am I supposed as a young man? Where can a young man go find that? But I guarantee when he does, he'll learn right away that he needs to prepare himself ready. When he is, oh my goodness, we as men start women better than the way we right now. We can really turn all these things.
When we return with Walter B. Hoye, the second co-founder and president of Issues for Life, we want to talk about a word he has just used, that word marriage. Is that an elusive word that we find in America and particularly in the black community at this point in time? All of you have heard me say this before, that there was a time, and it may be news to you, but there was a time when the black marriage rate in America was actually at times higher than the marriage rate of any other group of people in this country. There was a time when it was absolutely disrespectful. And hey, we all have relatives. We've all fallen short and all of that. All raise both my hands and all of that. But there was a time when if you brought disgrace to your family, there was a price to pay for that within the community. I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show. Download the free CL Bryant Show app onto your Android or iPhone device and listen to us on the go, wherever you go, over Red State Talk Radio throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation, America. Back in a minute.
Seems like yesterday, but it was long ago.
Chevy Land on Uri Drive in Shreveport is proud to showcase the technological advances and innovations now available on every new Chevrolet car and truck. Behind the wheel of a new Chevrolet is to know where you are, where you're going, how long it'll take to get there. Chevy Land, your full-service Chevrolet dealership for more than 50 years.
Red State Talk Radio is now available as a voice command on your Amazon Echo and Echo Dot by simply saying, Alexa, play Red State Talk Radio.
Red State Talk Radio on TuneIn.
Concerned to every single American. Now, we've been hearing all these stories about sanctuary cities.
You can now find us on the Amazon Echo and Echo Dot, on TuneIn, on iHeartRadio, and we also have the phone apps in the App Store for your particular phone. And just in case we activated your Echo Dot, Alexa, stop.
Yoakum Toyota believes in the American way of life, the American free enterprise system, and the exceptionalism of our people who have made America the greatest nation in all of world history. Yoakum Toyota believes that now is the time for all who believe in the American dream to reclaim the values of freedom, personal initiative, and unencumbered economic opportunity. Yoakum Toyota on Burt Coons in Shreveport. The C.L. Bryant Radio Show continues to bring a fresh perspective on hot topics and current events to his daily broadcast. C.L. believes that a platform needs to be available for people of all ethnic backgrounds to come together, voice their opinions, and ask questions. His radio show offers solutions to problems we all face and presents a clear path away from the edge. Information on underwriting the C.L. Bryant Show can be found at promisetalkradio.org or from Mike Duncan, 318-550-2000. C.L. Bryant, a man who loves God and his country.
CL, back with you on this great day in the USA, and glad to be here with you, particularly glad to be talking to my friend and colleague, brother in arms in this particular discussion and in other fights that we wage here in this country against those things that would rob us of our liberty and our freedoms. One of those things is the mass murder of the unborn. Walter B. Hoye, the second founder of Issues for Life, is my special guest. And before we get into our conversation, there is a quote found on his website by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Listen to this. Every great institution is the lengthened shadow of a single man. His character determines the character of the organization. So true. And that appears to be what Walter Hoye takes into his work as he wades into this fight in America. Walter, tell everybody how to get a hold of you, how to see your work, and tell us, before we start our conversation, go to the next level, tell us about you. Tell us about your institution and your foundation.
The Issue for Life work black across the nation, and we have regarding the issue of abortion, and we have done this years now. Literally, we've come alongside black leadership just about everywhere and help brothers understand what abortion is and what abortion does, and how they could be a blessing to the men and women in their church, in their congregation. You can learn more about the Issue for Life Foundation by just simply logging on to our website, and that's issue, that's plural, issue4life.org. Again, that's issue4life.org, and then you can learn all about what we do.
You know, I'm looking here. You know, my wife, Jane, and I have been married now for over 40 years. Of course, we started out very young, and I see that you're coming up on number 30. You do know that we're dinosaurs in modern day America, having been married as long as we have. And I do want to commend you on that achievement, because truly, folks, it is. But you mentioned marriage, and when you spoke about the young man, you spoke about how he provides for his wife. You didn't say his woman. You didn't say his girlfriend. You said his wife. Tell us about that type of mentality, and where did we get off track in our nation, Walter Hoye?
Oh, my goodness. CL, you are so right, and I'm so glad you're talking about. Take a look at the marriage rate. We take a look at black American marriage. You go back and talking about over 7 of whole household family, man, a woman, a wife, a husband, and around 7%. But today, you take a look at that same number. We're talking about approximately 75% of black children are now born out of wedlock. The entire family structure of black America has been blown up. And if we're going to get right down to it, that's the biggest problem right there. The family structure not there. So what men would do for women in terms of protecting and providing, many cases, they're not even thinking about it. And so we've got to get back to the Bible. We've got to get back to talking about what a man's responsibility is. Sure, if he's going to take on a wife, he needs to not only provide for her, but protect her, and he needs to take care of his family. Women are not sex objects. Women are prized. Women are held close. We're to honor women, and we're to marry women. And so this is something that we've got to get back to. And if we don't. We continue along the really unprecedented track here where we got 75% of our children born out of wedlock. There's not a stable dad around. There's not that influence to raise that boy, to raise that girl up. My goodness, what will our be if we don't turn this around and something about the quick?
And folks, you have heard me say before, and I'm saying it to you now. If you have a son, I have 1 son and 3 daughters. I've been blessed to have decent son-in-laws, and my son has turned out to be a good husband of his own. I've often told you that you're either raising, if you have a son, somebody's dream or somebody's nightmare. You are definitely doing that. Walter, is there a design, or has there been a design historically? I see that you talk a lot about Margaret Sanger. We're going to have time here to talk about that, but I want you to start now telling us about this woman, in my opinion, who was diabolic in her design to destroy family. But I want to hear that from someone who is on the front line of this fight to save the lives of the unborn. Walter Hoye, who was Margaret Sanger?
Margaret Sanger was the founder of Planned Parenthood, talking about in 1900. And now get this. This founder also was for the Ku Klux Klan. Now, it's just unbelievable that we don't get. Speaking for the Ku Klux Klan, the Ku Klux Klan loves her. The Ku Klux Klan invites her to come back and speak again. She gets several invitations from the Klan. There is no question. There's no question that Margaret Sanger was one of the biggest race of her time. But I'm not even done that. Then she goes goes on, put together the quote-unquote Negro Project. Get it? Negro, not white project, not Latino project, but the Negro Project. And then pay black past birth control, because thinking that the fewer black people there are, the better, the better. Margaret Sanger, you can learn all about her. I've got an entire section dedicated to Margaret Sanger on my website. Just go to my website, check in at the library, and you'll see on the first floor of my library a department entitled Margaret Sanger. You can find out all about Margaret, her designs, sterilization, designs for the Negro Project, her designs for birth control, and then you can also supporting her.
We're on with Walter B. Hoye II, founder of Issues for Life, the number 4, Issues for Life. Go there and educate yourselves. It was Jefferson who told us all that if you expect to remain ignorant and free, you are expecting to do something that never has been and never will be. My friends, it is the defiant ignorance that we experience in this country right now that brings about this type of atrocity. You mentioned something, and Walter, in this segment, and I want to keep you through the break, if you can stay with me. You have about 2 minutes left in this segment, but you mentioned something that I do want to expand on, and we can start the conversation now. The church. You said that Margaret Sanger's tool, the one that she reached for when she started her diabolical program, the Negro Project, she co-opted the pastor, the black pastor of the church. Walter Hoye, is that still going on? Got about a minute and a half.
There's no question about that. I mean, from the NAA on down, you'll find that we're overwhelmingly supporting a Planned Parenthood agenda eliminate the black race. Extremely clear. I mean, at this point, there's not even pretense anymore. And if you have any doubt about the history of Planned Parenthood and their founder, you can easily find this available on the web. And you can look at founding documents, original documents. You can come all the way up into the 1960s. If or too late, in the 1960s, even Planned Parenthood was admitting in their own documents that abortion takes the life of an innocent human being. Well, today, after 1973, who cares about whether the human being is innocent? Who cares if the human being is even human? And more Planned Parenthood abortion clinics are located in black communities and communities of color, black and Latino communities. And so there's no surprise that our abortion rate is so high and CL is gotten so high that black America is now under the replacement level. CL, we're not even replacing ourselves anymore.
Wow. Walter B. Hoye, founder, president of Issues for Life, is my special guest. I am going to return with him. Stay with me through the break. Download the free CL Bryant Show app on your iPhones or Android device. I'm CL. We'll be back after these words. Don't go anywhere.
Our hands are lifted high. Our hearts are bowing.
Chevy Land on Uri Drive in Shreveport is proud to showcase the technological advances and innovations now available on every new Chevrolet car and truck. Behind the wheel of a new Chevrolet is to know where you are, where you're going, how long it'll take to get there. Chevy Land, your full-service Chevrolet dealership for more than 50 years.
Red State Talk Radio is now available as a voice command on your Amazon Echo and Echo Dot by simply saying, Alexa, play Red State Talk Radio.
Red State Talk Radio on TuneIn.
Concern to every single American. Now, we've been hearing all these stories about sanctuary cities.
You can now find us on the Amazon Echo and Echo Dot, on TuneIn, on iHeartRadio, and we also have the phone apps in the App Store for your particular phone. And just in case we activated your Echo Dot, Alexa, stop.
Yoakum Toyota believes in the American way of life, the American free enterprise system, and the exceptionalism of our people who have made America the greatest nation in all of world history. Yoakum Toyota believes that now is the the time for all who believe in the American dream to reclaim the values of freedom, personal initiative, and unencumbered economic opportunity. Yoakum Toyota on Burt Coons in Shreveport. The C.L. Bryant Radio Show continues to bring a fresh perspective on hot topics and current events to his daily broadcast. C.L. believes that a platform needs to be available for people of all ethnic backgrounds to come together, voice their opinions, and ask questions. His radio show offers solutions to problems we all face and presents a clear path away from the edge. Information on underwriting the C.L. Bryant Show can be found at promisetalkradio.org or from Mike Duncan, 318-550-2000. C.L. Bryant, a man who loves God and his country.
Thought I was worth saving, so you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping, so you cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for.
And I don't know about you, but I will be forever grateful for the sacrifice that my Lord and Savior Jesus provided for me. On the line with me is another unashamed, unabashed Christian, and we do our best to live as disciples of our Christ. Walter B. Hoye II, founder, president of Issues for Life. The number 4, Issues for Life, is my special guest, has been in this past hour. Walter, there is a social engineering that I have seen taking place in this nation. Are our young people aware of how they are being sculpted, how they are being shaped and molded in academia, through entertainment, what have you, social media, what have you? Do you think that they are aware of it, and just how serpentine, sneaky is this shaping and molding, this progressive, liberal social engineering? How sneaky is that? Are they aware of it? Walter Hoye.
Answer it quickly. No, they are not aware of it. And serpentine, that's the right word. It's wicked and evil as it gets. I mean, you take a look at social media where you find most of our young people engaging and interact the issues around the day in social media. If you look at Instagram, if you look at Twitter, if you look at Facebook, look at those platforms you can find are really the most censored platforms. I mean, I can tell you that even some of the posts that I've had have literally been censored. They've had to review and question and think twice about whether they would allow a post or not. There is absolutely no question that what's available to us today in terms of social, which is a gigantic platform, is a platform that is censored, and it's censored because they're geared to the young minds that are taking advantage of social today. So CL, there's really no question about it. It's happening now, right now, and it's just something I've been praying mildly about.
And I will join you in that as well. There is something that, and we'll come back at another time and talk about this, but I want you to think about this, and you may have already heard this, Walter, and it is that in Saudi Arabia, and it's certainly beginning to fan across the globe, the most popular woman in Saudi Arabia is not really a woman, but her name is Sophie. Sophie is artificial intelligence, and they're finding that even in the Arabic and Islamic world, the young people are no longer saying their prayers. They don't see a need for that because they get quicker answers from Sophie, which is Google, of course, social media. I am seeing a drop-off. Now, back in the days when you and I were under the tutelage of our prospective pastors, you with S.M. Lockridge and me under Dr. E. Edward Jones Sr., there was a certain engrafting of certain principles that, of course, may be missing for whatever reason today. Can we? How do we? And this is the question that we as ministers of the gospel are going to have to answer, and we as men, black men in particular, are going to have to answer, Walter Hoye. How do we recapture seemingly the horse our young people that has gotten out of this corral, man, because the church is under attack, and certainly social media seemingly has more influence than we have been used to our affecting our young people. Talk to us about it.
Well, see, to get right down to it, our walk is going to have to match our talk. We can't talk about doing the right, living the right way. We can't talk about value, families like that. We don't live out the biblical tenets that we so easily just talk about. We're going to have to let our walk match our talk. And then we're going to have to, in the process of doing that, get more involved in our young lives, in the lives of our sons, in the lives of our daughter, and then mentorship. Mentor young men. Be a part of their lives. Share your life with them and become a resource for them. And then, you know what? We're going to also have to just be honest with ourselves. And where something is wrong, CL, it's wrong here and it's also wrong there. We have to be consistent. Right now, we find something wrong, we find something we don't like, and we know we're saying, oh, that's horrible. But when the exact same thing, and in some cases worse, is happening on the other side of the equation. Oh, my goodness. Well, it's not so much wrong there. Well, the young people around us see all the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
All the hypocrisy. And so this is something we're going to have to work on.
And you know what, Walter, our young folks, I notice it in my children and my grandchildren now. They can spot a phony 10 miles down the road. They can see it coming. And there is you and I'm a few years older than you, but you and I grew up in a time where there was a certain innocence to a point. And I've lived in Southern California, I've lived in up in the Bay Area as well. I understand that it is a different time that we live in. But this is what I want to ask you about, and I have about 3 minutes left with you. Walter, I see our young people trying to relive the ghost of Mississippi and fight those battles. That man, is that a futile thing? Talk to us about where do we go from here? Because the civil rights struggle, as far as the King era is concerned, is over. But yet I do understand we have challenges. What do we do going into the future, Walter Hoye?
Well, there's no question we have challenges. And I want to join you on that. I was born in Troy. I was raised, I marched with Dr. Martin as a young man with my dad, with my mom, and I did it more than once. We did it in Detroit and we did it in Chicago. I really understood. Our family embraced civil rights. What we're dealing with today is not the same civil rights movement. The values that we embraced then are not the same values that we embrace now. In the sense, we're just going to have to honestly come to the fact that we don't really know you've got to realize what really was and what it was really all about. And then at that point, we can know where we've been, and now we know where we're going. And I think we better make better decisions along with that line. So I'm hoping that the truth will finally raise to the point where we all can embrace, and then now we can sit down and talk about, hey, where do we go?
Walter, give us your website again so folks can get you to where they are and also visit your thoughts and see what you are doing. A minute and a half.
Again, I thank you, CL. Love you. My website is Issue for Life. That's plural. Issue 4life.org. I'm president and founder of the Issue for Life Foundation, and we're dedicated to black ships about life, about abortion in the black.
Walter Hoye, thank you so much for being my guest today. Walter B. Hoye II. Walter B. Hoye II. Issues 4, 4 life. Go there. Find him. I am telling you, in these days and times, he is a voice that need to be heard.